Welcome, everyone, to Two Waygooks in Korea. My name is Steven.
And I'm Josh.
And we are both English teachers living in South Korea. And this episode, number 2, is about pooping.
Pooping. Everyone does it.
Everyone does it, but Korea does it extra special.
A little differently.
Now, I want to start by talking about the big elephant in the room, which is, if you don't know, in Korea, there's always a little bucket next to your toilet. Now, what's that bucket do?
What's that for?
I was going to ask you this rhetorical question.
Now, in Korea, as you know, Korea got modernized relatively quickly.
Very quickly.
And one thing that is hard to catch up on when you're, developing country into a modernized country is your piping, your sewer system and your piping. So a lot of, we'll say, older buildings in Korea have piping issues. So you can't flush toilet paper down the toilet because it will cause problems. So I got that little bucket.
So what you do is you wipe and you throw. You wipe and you throw, you wipe and you throw, you wipe and you throw. And by the way, toilet paper, as in many Asian countries, I wouldn't even consider it toilet paper. It's just like
tracing paper, just two pieces of tracing paper put together.
It's pretty bad.
And they call that two-ply.
But it makes sense because, as we said, the poop pipes, or the poo pipes, as I like to say, the poo pipes suck. So they still, even if you do flush the toilet paper, it needs to be as thin and kind of,
sandpapery.
Dissolvable is probably the proper word, as possible. So you go to, usually at most restaurants, at all the schools that I know of, my school too, there's a poop bucket, and you wipe and you put the shit in there.
Even the most high class restaurants or chain like coffees, like a Starbucks. Starbucks will have it. If it doesn't, then I guess you're living in visiting a very westernized area.
Right.
Maybe in Itaewon, they don't have it. Some places in Seoul, we don't know. But we live in a pretty big city, so we still see them everywhere. Little buckets.
Yeah, and when I came here, I was like, I'm really worried about the squatters,
Oh, yeah.
And, some places still have the squatters, but it's actually pretty rare.
Yeah.
It's very easy to get around the squatters because that makes sense. That's easy to replace because you just take the squatter out, you put a new fucking toilet in, but you can't replace those poo pipes.
Right. And usually if you have, say, a whole room full of squatters, you'll at least have maybe 1 or 2 Western toilets.
No.
That's the way it is for my school. 3 squatters, 1 Western toilet. So
yeah, I don't use the kids' bathroom, but I've been in there, and it's like three squatters and one awful toilet that, of course, most everybody tries to use, which means it's the worst. Now, speaking of those poo buckets, I don't know what the average, hours between the replacement of that bucket is, but sometimes that bucket gets mighty filled, and at least in my school. And it ain't pretty. It's exactly what you think.
It's exactly what you think, and I don't want to be the person emptying that. It's
you take
stinky.
The worst kid at your school, and you're like, you are on poo bucket duty.
You on poo bucket duty.
Shut up. I would do that. So I don't know who takes care of that, but I will say that they do make, I think, scented toilet paper because of that, which is that you're pretty much leaving parts of your poop in the poo bucket, and it starts to smell bad after a while. Who would have thought? Now, do you ever use it?
The poo bucket? Yeah, I feel like I need to. Obviously, if I'm having a bad time, then I'll try to be a little bit more considerate and flush the toilet paper. Hopefully, it won't get stuck. I haven't had any issues of a toilet backing up or getting clogged or anything like that. Some places, I think, is kind of just for precaution. The older folks might not want.
They just don't know.
Just in case, right? They have grown up. They have lived the whole lives this way. Don't flush toilet paper, and even if the building is new, I bet they'll still say don't flush your toilet paper. Right?
Yeah, I've never done it. I have gotten used to sometimes flushing 3 times so that you don't put a shit ton of toilet paper in there. But yeah, so that's the poop bucket. That's the big thing. I guess the second thing about pooping is that, in America, I mean, I worked at a high school before I came here, and people don't wash their hands. I mean, you should know by now, guys don't wash their hands after peeing in America, which is fucking gross. But that happens. I see it all the time in America. Um, but at least in America, there's always the chance to. There's always some soap. There's always, okay, I don't want to say always, always, but 99% of the time, there's something to dry your hands, either the blowy thing or toilet paper or paper towels.
Or a friend, you kind of just wipe your hands on.
Yeah.
Like, hey, how you?
Yeah,
how you
whatever.
doing,
What's up? What's
how
up?
You doing,
All right, that's my boob.
Nipple.
Okay. But the problem in Korea is that, like, seriously, most people don't wash their hands here. And so what that means is most restaurants and most places don't even bother putting out soap, and they don't even bother putting out anything.
If they do have soap, it is a bar of communal
soap,
usually stuck on some sort of
rod
thing that you kind of like.
So yeah, you're touching other people's gross. I mean, I know it's soap, but like, no.
Let me rinse that soap though first. Like, even for me in my bathroom, I use bar soap to wash like my body instead of a loofah, and I still rinse that before. And that's my body. I'm using it on my body. Like,
yeah.
Come on now.
You're thinking like, what was the last thing I washed with? What area did I use before this?
I don't care. I'm rinsing it. That's what I say every time. And you don't have that luxury with this communal bar soap. It's always stuck on a rod.
And more times than not, there isn't even soap. There isn't toilet paper. I mean, there isn't paper towels. There isn't a blow dryer. Like, if you want to wash your hands, which just means you're sprinkling water on it, you gotta wipe that shit on you. You just gotta do it.
And how you gonna take a deucer and not wash your hands with soap?
Yeah, it's really gross. So what a lot of Korean people do that are more, hygiene conscious is they carry around wet naps or water tissues. I don't know what they call it.
Tissue.
Tissue.
Water tissue. Literally translated water tissue.
And that's what they do. They go back and they just wipe their shit covered hands or pee covered hands or whatever it is. So that's really strange. Still really strange.
And in America, all the servers and cooks have signs that say you must wash your hands before going back to work. Sure. Haven't seen a single sign like that here. Yes. So the people handling your food maybe giving you a little something extra, But
I will say though that in general, Korean bathrooms are bad. But
so bad.
Everything else about Korean presentation is always A+.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's so crazy to me that places can look so nice.
Service is so great.
Service is great. Attention to detail is amazing.
Yeah, they give you a lot of free stuff. Everything is great. 4 stars all around. And you go to the bathroom.
It's fucking, like, what is that?
And you feel like you're pooping or peeing in like a prison. In like a prison bathroom. That's what it feels like.
Kind of, yeah. It's all, especially when you go to the high traffic areas. Like, we have a big kind of college and neighborhood area, and like, as you would expect, a lot of bars, a lot of people doing things. It's freaking gross. Now, the last thing though that kind of goes with that is how bathrooms are set up in Korea, which is that you shower in the toilet area. It's just one place with a drain somewhere, hopefully near the middle.
There are some bathrooms that are more Western that will have bathtubs, but those are very rare. Usually they're with bigger houses, bigger apartments. Definitely all of the co-teachers that we know and the apartments that we have have a shower head that is directly above our sink. And honestly, it doesn't really matter how big your place is, at least in our city. Your place is relatively big compared to mine, maybe twice the size actually, and your bathroom is exact same setup.
My bathroom might actually be smaller than your bathroom, actually.
Doubt it, but
granted, I don't ever go to your place because why would I go to your place? Look at this beautiful place right here. But the thing is, you're like, okay, that's not that big of a deal. But the thing is, it's like you don't want to ever poop after you take a shower because it's wet everywhere. Number one, right?
And your feet are wet when you're trying to poop, and it's not.
And
it's uncomfortable.
I did not know for the first month and a half that you're supposed to buy shower shoes. So my feet were always just in the water.
The muck. The muck.
It's so just what the friggity foogie muggy.
But your bathroom usually is so small that your bath slippers get wet too.
Yeah.
So it almost has no purpose.
And depending on your bathroom setup, your drain might be in a better, more efficient place than others. Like in a lot of bathrooms, it's in the middle, which is great because that's where the water should go. But mine is somehow behind the sink, and the water the water pipe thing that goes from the sink down into the ground fills up 70% of the drain.
Of the area
of the whatever the drain is. Yeah, surface area of the drain. So like there's really only 30% of space that the water can go, like from the shower, can go down in there. It gets filled with hair. Not my hair, by the way. Last teacher's who lived here's hair, which I had to yank out.
Shout out
last teacher. We're not cleaning your shit. By the way, she was a girl. She had a lot of hair.
Very hairy woman.
A lot.
Seems like.
It was gross. But yeah, so like it's just that it's a weird thing. I never thought of it because you're in the shower at home, and yeah, of course, water is there. But like when you want to get out and stop showering, you don't want to step on wet shit, and that's really, really strange.
You never feel really dry.
Yeah.
After.
That's the same. After the bathroom, you wash your hands. You're like, I don't feel good. Right?
And I'm constantly wet. I don't know why.
And like after you take a poop and all that poop's gone, you're like, oh yeah, there's a fucking bin of poop paper right there. Don't feel right.
There's always something remaining.
Yeah. And that is pooping / bathrooms in a nutshell in Korea. Like I know it may be weird to talk about, but it's really important to me.
It's really interesting.
I really wish I knew some of this stuff beforehand. And
But a positive about pooping in Korea or using the bathroom in Korea is a lot of coffee shops or just random establishments will have public bathrooms. And so if you're really, really, really needing to go, I and a lot of my friends, a lot of my Korean friends and random people have just walked into a Starbucks or to someplace or Cafe Bene, what have you, just use their bathroom, peaced out right after, didn't buy anything. That is...
Yeah, some people might be like, oh, I mean, that's not right, and blah, 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 blah. But, like, there's so many cafes. Like, every fifth place is a cafe
here. It's a normal thing. It's a normal thing to do.
It's just like, let's, just do it.
I mean, even fast food joints, McDonald's, Lotteria, I've seen people just go in, use the bathroom, leave.
Now, for the record, if you're coming to Korea or you live here, you already know, don't take shits in a Lotteria. Don't even pee in one, because they're the worst.
They are the filthy, because most Lotterias are 24 hours, and the ones that are 24 hours are next to college areas.
Yeah.
And you know what college people do late at night when they had a little too much to drink, and it's that time, and
it's
then
awful.
They don't have to.
Like, seriously, I thought I'd been in some awful toilets back home, and you're like, oh, of course they're going to wash it every 4 hours or 8 hours. No.
I've been to Mexico and pooped in a hole, building houses for a week. I hadn't showered for a whole week, and I was pooping in a hole in the ground, and I felt more clean than using the bathroom at a Lotteria. That is insane to me.
I walked in and came out smelling like cat piss, but I'm pretty sure it's human piss.
Someone who didn't drink a lot of water, maybe.
Maybe. But anyways, that's episode 2. If you have anything you want to know about Korea, please give us some suggestions. You can, of course, comment on this or find us on Facebook or Twitter at This Week in Kpop. Mm-hmm. Also, of course, check out our podcast. We do a podcast every single week. It is about the week's K-pop news and music video releases, which you can find on YouTube for the video version or on iTunes for the audio version. And, of course, as we always say, yo, what up with his hair?
Hey.